Hi everyone. Wait for it to start. Okay. Most people have never heard of Passementerie or think they have ever seen it in their daily lives, but I haven't been able to stop seeing it. Once I noticed it, it was everywhere and I couldn't unsee it. Passementerie is the trim that adorns our clothes and our interiors. It lives at the edges, quiet, subtle and easy to ignore. But the more I looked, the more I realised the edges were doing all the work. Not just in contemporary design, but all throughout history. Captured in stone, in paint, in film, in a window display, and through our eyes. In my job as costume manager at Sovereign Hill, telling stories through costume and bringing history to life is getting harder as fabric and trim suppliers disappear or drastically reduce their offering. This is what planted the Passementerie seed. If I couldn't buy the trims I needed, then why don't I make them? Simple, right? It wasn't. Being resourceful and hungry for knowledge didn't start in my role as costume manager though. My obsession started by stapling fabric together at 6 years old. Then I made a wedding dress out of socks in high school, which is the middle picture, and a costume out of tea bag feathers in fashion college, which is the one on the left. I might be getting my lefts wrong, rights wrong. In my old age, I make flowers out of fashion industry scraps. Everything has led me here to Passementerie. So what is Passementerie? A range of specialised skills and knowledge that most people never see. Each skill can be showcased as a singular object or used together to build a design. Tassels, wirework, cord, parchment, covered moulds, pom-poms, fringing, netting, braid, bullion, buttons and rosettes. Passementerie isn't just decorative, it tells us who someone was, their status, their taste, their nationality, their place in the world. There's even the stories about their maker. These things are often immortalised in sculpture or showcased as part of a queen's story in a museum, but they are also in everyday people's houses. The investigative process fuels the curiosity. There is a point where the curiosity tips into something else, an obsession, where you're not just choosing to look anymore, it just happens and you can't stop. Passementerie is everywhere if you choose to see it, then you can't unsee it. I was awarded a Mason Family Trust Fellowship last year to discover more about Passementerie. Every answer led to more questions. Every technique opened up another door. It stopped being about objects and became about understanding the whole world. And to do this, I had to travel the world to meet the people keeping this art alive. The Passementerie world is dying. Entire knowledge systems almost gone. Passementerie making has a steadfast spot in the Heritage Crafts Red List of endangered crafts. Only a handful of makers sit in pockets around the world. Most factories don't exist and there is no manufacturer in Australia. So how do we find ourselves here? These skills are slow to perfect and the product is slow to create. It's precise in its practice and in its product. It just doesn't fit into the way we make things anymore. And so it is disappearing, the knowledge, the people and the product. Making Passementerie isn't a skill that can be Googled or YouTubed. You have to sit beside someone. You have to watch, you have to try, you have to get it wrong, and you have to be okay with failing and trying again. And again, and again in my case. It's only through this learning and connecting through your hands that progress is made, through feeling and tweaking the tension, rhythm and feel. These are things no one can fully explain, but they can pass on. It is here in these meditative moments that the obsession grows. It is these times when time doesn't seem to exist, when hours and days roll by and you haven't eaten, showered or slept. But underlying this spellbound state, there is a deep understanding of why the time it takes to make something with your hands matters so much. Even the most simple of designs aren't simple and usually are the most complex. It's layers of decisions, calling on refined skills and pouring your attention into things that can only be seen if you slow down and be fully present in the moment, falling deeper into that obsession. The next slide shows 3 out of the 5 last remaining Passementerie makers left in the UK. As they taught me over 8 weeks last year, their skills, knowledge and passion were passed on to me. They shared so openly and generously because they know just how fragile and close to being gone this Passementerie world is. Obsession takes something from you, time, energy and focus, but it always gives you something you can't get any other way: depth, passion and excitement. A cocoon of just you and the craft, a gift that fills up your cup and multiplies. When I came back to work at Sovereign Hill after my fellowship, I saw everything differently. In the 1850s, not everyone could afford the light-catching fabrics, but trims were much more attainable. The reflective surfaces gave garments movement, depth, and a sense of life. That felt like a story worth telling. My obsession remains strong through all of the literal blood, sweat, and tears. My obsession carries me through as I continue to master this craft. The Passementerie world is one I continue to hold, translate, and make sure that it doesn't disappear quietly. When we lose crafts like this, we don't just lose objects. We lose knowledge, we lose stories, ways of understanding the world, which seems all the more important as time rolls on. What started as a curiosity then became an obsession, and somewhere along the way, it became a responsibility to protect the precious world of specialised craftspeople, their knowledge and their skill before it's too late.